Welcome to Web3 and Me, presented by FLOLiO. On today's show, we are going to be counting down our top 5 NFT projects based on the stories that they are creating. Please, before we get going with this episode, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more NFT content, and head to FLOLiO.com. That is FLOLIO.com to take advantage of all the free tools that we're offering. Dan, how are we doing on this wonderful Monday?
I don't know if I would call it wonderful, but it's super warm here still. We had like another huge heat wave, so yeah. So the world is slowly dying, and NFTs are dying. Crypto is okay, it's okay. But I'm doing all right. And how about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. It's still pretty warm here. I'm ready for winter. I want to get out on my snowboard
Yes.
and get back into it, like for the love of God. Um, but yeah, the NFT market. We'll talk on that about that for a second. Like yesterday, I looked. I've been trying to focus more on the amount of ETH traded, not on the dollar value. And yesterday, I believe, was the worst day we've had so far this year.
Wow.
The charts I can look at only go back 3 months, but I'm pretty sure that there hasn't been a worse day in the amount of ETH traded um, in all of 2020. So
That's
like,
rough.
and there's so much fear and capitulation right now. Like everyone is selling. People are undercutting the floor like crazy. We see a lot of projects at prices that they haven't been at in many, many months. I mean, mutant apes are way down. Bored apes are way down. Goblins, Clone X is under 7. Like all of these things have taken a big pullback, and it's not surprising. Like with ETH going back up right now, I think a lot of people were just like, you know what, I missed out on selling at the top, but I can still get some money out of this. And so it's going to take a little while, in my opinion, for things to recover. We don't need to beat a dead horse there, but is there anything that you're keeping an eye on, or are you just kind of like hanging out with your holdings and just letting it all play out?
I mean, I've recently bought a cool cut. I think I looked over the agenda. I think you talked about it with a fellow colleague of us. I think when was that? Was it Friday?
That
I
was
think.
Friday's show, yeah.
Yeah, and then okay, I'm mostly just placing my ETH in like projects that I think are sustainable over long term. Most of it is just like I've recently I bought Other Side, Cool Cat, and I bought back into potatoes. Oh yeah, I
Okay,
didn't mention it to you actually.
he's back in
So I sold,
potatoes.
yeah, I sold my potato at 1.5,
Yeah, you
which
told me
was
that.
not a rare one. Waited a few days, floor went down by like another point 0.4, and sniped a kind of rare one for 1.25. So we take
Okay,
those. We take
there
those.
you go. Hey, I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Dan's
Yeah.
out there making moves. I've sold a little bit of stuff, and this is actually a good time to transition into it. So I sold 3 of my Renga black boxes just because they are going to
Wow.
be. I didn't sell any of the rare ones because I've bought 3 rare ones on secondary, but I sold 3 of my 4 like regular black boxes because they are going to be releasing more of them. And I think that there's an opportunity for me to buy back in at a lower price. So let's jump into it. We're going to talk about our top 5 projects that are building stories. I'm of the belief that through this bear market, these teams are going to be creating very engaging storylines that will keep people entertained beyond just the floor go up,
Hmm.
airdrop me more stuff, expectations that people have set. Like if you can create compelling stories that people want to watch and be involved in, I think that's a very big plus for a lot of projects, and where a lot of them have missed out, but not these 5. So let's start with number 5, and that is Ranga. This is a project with the artist Dirty Robot. There was a previous project called the Art of Seasons that if you held
Hmm.
one of those pieces, you got airdropped a box. Most of them were black boxes. Of the 7,500, I think like 6,900 of them were black boxes, and then
Hmm.
there were others that were much more rare. So they've been slowly building out this story. I would recommend following them on Twitter. I believe it's at Ranga Inc. And what they've been doing leading up to their final mint, which is going to be 2,500 black boxes, they've been putting out a daily comic strip. So like Monday through Friday, I believe, they've been putting out a page from a comic, and it's building this story up until the reveal happens. And they're all different like rarities of the black boxes, so you already know what you're going to get. There's like there's ninja ones, there's double agents, there's robots, there's racing, there's 8-bit characters. There are all these cool looking ones.
Hmm.
You can see some of the art on their Twitter page. So they're building up this story. And I'm also a believer in them because they did for some of the Art of Seasons pieces, you could do a physical print. and I was able to get a print for 2 of mine, and they were very high quality, very nice. And so I think that they're really good about attention to detail, and I think they're building something very cool there. And I have a strong belief that, I think the floor is going to keep coming down in the short term. Nothing we say is financial advice, by the way. Please research these things on your own. Just don't take my word for it, for the love of God. But I do think the price is going to come down when the public sale happens, at which point I'm going to be looking to acquire more, because I do believe in this project long term.
Yeah, so I looked at their Twitter, and it seems to be that they upload like a page of like a comic once every 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
But still, the quality is fairly high. I haven't looked into them yet. I knew about Art of Seasons, and you told me about the black box, and I was like, that's interesting. So when did you mention the sale was? The public?
I want to say it's within the next week or so. They haven't nailed down the price. I think they're going off of like what a current floor price for them, so that people don't get in lower and then just bomb the floor.
Yeah.
So I think that is smart, and they're only really making that sale off of a quarter of the project, right? Like they gave previous holders a lot of value with that initial airdrop. So that is number 5 on our list, is going to be Ranga Inc. Number 4 is a project that we've previously had on the show, and that is Huxley Saga. Creator of it, Ben Morrow, came on the show with the community manager, Cass Vegas, and they talked about Huxley. So for those who don't know, Ben is a very, very well-respected and experienced creator in the video game and the movie world. He's worked on games such as Call of Duty, Halo. He's worked on the Hobbit trilogy. So he has a lot of experience in creating stories and worlds. And so I've seen everything they've put out. So far, the project has done 4 different comics. I'm a holder of each of them. I've read all of them. They're very enthralling, so I really like what they're building there. They've done a release of their robot PFP, and then they're going to do a humans one as well, as in addition to 2 more comics that are coming out. So it's a decent sized supply. I'm not going to pretend like it's a small amount, but they've shown value to it, and they've also done a really good job of like building this out slowly. I recommend, if you're interested, go back a month or 2 and look at the Huxley interview that I did, because Ben is very clear that this is not a short-term flip the project kind of thing. They are creating, they put out trailers for the movie that they're doing as well as the video game. And Ben's, connections in the video game world should have people pretty confident that they're going to put out a high quality game that's not just some like cash grab piece of crap that anyone can hire a Fiverr creator to put together.
Yeah, they produce like. Also, they mentioned on their Twitter they are releasing another one of their really cool like. It's almost like a movie, right? Like a movie trailer type. And I saw the last one, and that was like universally well received. Like I'm not sure what to like call it. Like is it? It is like a movie trailer, right? Like quite literally.
Yeah. You can look at it on YouTube, and it's got a shit ton of views. It had a lot of positive reaction to it. And these things, like people are so used to like low quality stuff in the NFT world just getting dropped after a few weeks. Like the game and the movie, that is a very long term thing. And Ben has been building out this world for about a decade. So he's put a lot of work into it, and they're going to keep putting a lot of work into it, which is why I'm confident in believing in this project long term.
Yeah, the only sad thing to see is that the comments like on YouTube are always like, man, this is an NFT? I hate this shit now.
People are gonna hate NFTs, and they're gonna rag on NFTs, but there's not a whole lot you can do about it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move into our number 3, and that is Goblin Town. We kind of went back and forth between this and Huxley for number 3. I would say that they have done a little bit more innovation on the Web3 side of things, in my opinion, which is why this came in just a hair ahead of Huxley. So Dan, we've been talking about Goblin Town since the very beginning. Give me a little bit of your thoughts on what they're creating and how you feel about that project moving forward.
Yeah, it almost feels like they've been in the space for ages, but they're still new, right? Like they've been out for what, couple months, 4 months there, I say, like just before NFT NYC, right? Like
I'll pull it up now. So it's only like 3 months. It was right around VCon is when they came out. So let me pull up one real quick, see the mint date, and then I can give you a better idea. So these were minted back in May 21st. So not even, it's coming up on 3 months.
Yeah, it's
so
quite crazy.
Yeah.
And
they've done a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, what I want to mention about the project is that I remember when they, well, I don't remember when they minted, right? Because they initially only pumped because it was like, guys, on the leaked like Yuga Labs white paper, they're talking about Goblin, so it must be this, right? It must be Goblintown. And then they pumped, and then everyone was like, dude, the only reason why this is worth like 2 ETH or 1 ETH is because people are like thinking this is Yuga. And then suddenly the Yuga stuff faded away, but the floor is still maintained, right? And I was like, huh? Okay. Because I remember you were like an anti Goblintown person, and over time you were like, all right, this is actually really cool.
I just didn't, at first I didn't get it, like the art, and I still, I don't hold one currently because I don't particularly like the art, although that's like very subjective, and I also don't particularly vibe with the community. Once again, that is also very subjective. So yeah, I didn't get it at first. They got a lot of publicity, like because Beeple was talking about them. Gordon, one of the creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club, was talking about them a bit. So they did get some love, and they got to like almost a 10 ETH floor at one point.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I don't recall that. That's crazy.
Yeah, they got up there. But what I think they're doing on the storytelling side, and where they've been innovating, is a few things. Like number one, they have a very cool interactive website. They did the McGoblin Burger launch, which was a free mint for holders, and that allowed you to choose what your NFT was. So you got to go in and create your like McGoblin Burger combo, which isn't like a huge thing, but it does show that they're trying to think outside the box and do things different from other companion drops. What I think is really cool is that you're able to use your McGoblin Burger, and you can use multiple of them to set the traps to get your Grumple. And I think that's really great because so many projects, and I'll take Bored Apes for example, with Mutant Apes, dropped, they doubled the supply of mutants to Bored Apes. Here, because you could use multiple goblins to get a more rare Grumple, they are creating a deflationary system, and they're actually minimizing the supply, so it'll never be more than the original. Right, so I don't expect the new part of the collection to be more valuable than the OG, but they are ensuring that it's not like totally watered down and totally oversupplied.
Yeah. So do you have any idea when the Grumple like reveals? Because they're currently
it doesn't
just
reveal, you catch it, right? So you set the trap, and so you have to catch your Grumple.
When do you have any idea when you catch a Grumple?
I do not know when the catching of the Grumples begins, but I do think that they're going to keep putting out innovative stuff. I've heard, I believe it's Truth is the name of the team that is running Goblin Town, and they're very big into the lore and storytelling side of things. And so I definitely believe that they are going to be putting out more and more stuff to, and maybe not more and more items, because I don't think they want to oversaturate their brand, but I do think they're going to continue to grow this Goblin Town story in some innovative and cool ways.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their website by itself, like, I've never seen something like it. It's amazing, and I think if you had to describe Goblintown in one word, it would be absurd, right? Crazy, like words that doesn't necessarily mean something good, but that's Goblintown, right? Like it's not good looking. It's ugly. It's a goblin, right? And I think they don't take themselves too serious. You see this at NFT NYC. They going around being goblins essentially. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. I think we're going to see a lot unfold with that. So let's move into number 2, and that is Jenkins the Valet. So Jenkins we've talked about before. We also had the Azurvala team on for an interview also like a month or two ago. So that's pretty, we have some insight there. And this is a project that it was one of the very first Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs that really like built a brand around that particular asset, right? So, the creator of it owned Jenkins. They created this writer's room NFT that you could buy into. You could license your ape or your mutant to the writer's room. They partnered with a best-selling author, Neil Strauss, to create the Bored and Dangerous book. They have the book NFTs, which you can either burn to enter their world of Azurbala. We'll get to that in a second, or you can stake it for more benefits as well. So they've created some game theory aspects to it. So with Azurbala, they've gone to a whole other level, and this is what we talked about in the interview, where you can head to the Azurbala website. You can kind of see the different regions of this world they've created. Also on their Twitter account, Jenkins is exploring Azurbala. They put out a really cool video on Saturday of part of his exploration. There's a whole thread with a bunch of pictures in it. They have all these different Twitter accounts set up for characters in the story that you are interacting with each other and with holders. And so I think they're doing a good job of, they want to build this site out and they want to make sure they get it right before they let everyone into it. But in the meantime, they're doing these Twitter accounts and they're having these other parts of the story that are leading into it to make sure that people stay engaged with it and don't just kind of get bored, which I think is a very, I've never seen any other project do that. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Dan, but I've never seen a project that's building a story have all these, ways to interact with it before it even drops.
Yeah, no, I definitely haven't seen it either. And, Jenkins the Valet has always been maybe more, I don't know, like a hidden gem essentially. It was just like Akutar, where everyone knows about it, but you don't see people talk about it, right? And then suddenly something happens, and volume is increasing, and people are talking about it more, and it becomes much more prominent than or widespread than it used to be, and that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree, and it's going to be they have game theory with the book burning, you'll be able to burn it to get an Azure root, which will get you your PFP. But also within that, the longer you hold it, the stronger it gets. There's before you reveal, there's all these different mechanics to it that I think will become very clear once they reveal more and more, but they're not willing to do that until they have everything up to their standards, which in my opinion is a good thing.
I agree.
Okay. And then number 1 on our list is 10KTF. This is another project that we've talked about. This one can seem a bit confusing at first as well. There's different parts to it with the 10KTF stock room. They have the sneakers, the backpacks, all these things, but they've started to really hone in on the story in the last few months. They've shown the owner of the 10KTF shop, Wagmi-san, battling with the toads who are the villains in the story. We've seen the kaiju get released by the toads. We saw Wagmi-san in these videos, and I would recommend going to the 10KTF Twitter account and looking back through all of the story parts to it. They have a blend of just static images. They have some really cool videos, and they're building this story that people are involved in. They've had it be interactive with their Battletown website that has allowed people to participate, and you got rewards based off of how much you participated there. They've partnered with ApeCoin to make that the official currency of the world they're building, which isn't surprising, being that it's, the project is run by Guy Osiri, who's heavily involved in Bored Ape Yacht Club. Beeple is involved in it, so you can have access to something that Beeple has helped create without dropping, 25 plus ETH on something. They just did the combat crates. Those have held up very well even during this bear market. So they're doing a lot of cool stuff there. They're trying to make it more and more interactive. And what I think is really awesome is that they are building something that involves a ton of projects. If you go and look at their items, there's, Bored Ape and Mutant Ape stuff. There's also Cool Cats and World of Women and Cryptodes and Moonbirds, all these different projects that they've, worked with the holders of to create personalized items for them. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my first memory about 10KTF. Is I was in the Wolf Game Discord and it was I was in the... Yeah, Wolfcam. Yeah, I was in the Oni Discord and also Oni. It's pretty funny. And it was yo, you can get Oni shoes or something. And I was okay, that's cool. I forgot about the shoes, and then later someone was because there's maybe there was a 1 day mint window or something, maybe 2 days, and then later it was oh hey, you can mint your Oni backpack or something. And I was okay, that's cool. I guess I don't know. I guess it is pretty cool having a Oni branded backpack. So I'm into that, and then because no one knew anything about 10KTF. It was this weird guy, the Walk Me son, I believe, standing there like behind the counter being like, yo, you wanna mint this thing? Oh, hey, I see you're eligible. I was like, okay, like, sure, I guess. And then over time, you learn more and more about 10KTF, and like people's involved, right? So, like, I guess. I'm still not sure whether or not that's like actually confirmed, but I mean, it's
It
safe
is.
to assume. But yeah, and they're building out this whole thing and the super elaborate story, and they're Neo Tokyo, I believe. They're building it
Hmm.
out, but they need to respect Wolfgame more, man. I tell you, because they're forgetting about us every single time. I swear, it's
Like
it's
in
rough to
for
see.
what?
For 10KTF, like we couldn't even participate in on the missions. I think.
I think all you needed was a piece of their, something
Mm,
from their,
there was
like a wolf
something
game or
about it.
any sort of like the backpack or the sneakers or whatever to participate.
I must have mixed it up with something, but there was something that we couldn't participate in because our assets were staked. Um, but I'm unsure. I'm unsure
Okay.
which part that is.
I do think it's also really cool that, I was originally apprehensive because this was when it came out, if I remember correctly, this was the beginning of when people were getting scammed for their apes like crazy. And I was super paranoid about connecting my wallet to
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
that had my ape in it. But they are doing something called a warm wallet where you can link like through like a degree of separation, use your high value assets to create like the items in the game without directly linking that wallet, which I think is very smart and something that needs to happen to ensure that people can still, it's like with the merch drops. Like, I don't want to connect my Bored Ape to the Bored Ape Yacht Club website. What if it gets compromised? It's not worth the risk just to prove that I have an ape to buy a hoodie. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I do like the fact that they are trying to solve that issue.
Yeah, for sure. And in general, just also one thing, MetaMask is have has improved on their like signing like window, like confirmation window you see when you're signing like a transaction or
Mm-hmm.
minting something. It now tells you about the approve all like function and whether or not it's actually there. So when you mint something, it'll now say like, hey, warning, if you mint this, it does give the people behind the contract like access to this and this. So that's really cool. The
All right.
security is
There you have it,
important.
folks. So those are our top 5 storytelling brands for NFTs. I'm sure some people will disagree. You could definitely throw Aku in there somewhere in that list, I believe. Like,
Yeah.
that's another really
Yep.
strong one that we could definitely include. But those are the 5 that we put out there today. So once again, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and head to FLOLiO.com for all of your NFT needs. We'll be back tomorrow with an interview with Gutter Cat Gang to learn more about what is going on in the gutter. So until then, I am Jeremy. That is Dan. For everyone at FLOLiO, thank you everyone for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye bye.